In our house, the individual with the best character was always the dog or the cat and was never one of us people. Um, Bud was a very good character, a very good dog, and um, I just wish I had fed him better. But I considered him to be a family dog, and I didn't go shopping for the groceries, and I didn't have enough to eat myself. I should have fed him some good food, but who was of the worst character, it seems, was Samuel. And Stephen, well, because of the targeting of a white man, he was also not a perfect character, not nearly. But it seems that, well, the Jews give themselves such a license against the whites that they don't even have to even try to show good character. And that's how Samuel has always been. And the African American men don't think they have to show good character usually either. But here's what I'm saying. If I have African American daughters, I would not concern myself with whether or not they're on welfare. I just wish that they would choose the best looking, who are the largest, best looking men. And I don't give a damn who they are, what they think of me. I don't care at all, because I can easily defend myself in publicity against any critic. You know, if even the strongest and most powerful African American men had gotten my daughter pregnant, my African American daughter, one or more of my African American daughters, if they got pregnant, if I have more than one, from the most powerful African American men, even Barack Obama, I can easily defeat Barack Obama in a debate. He's just a wimp. I just say he's a wimp and he's a wussy. And you know, he needs to get away. He's done his job to get, you know, even if Barack Obama, he's got not bad genetics, but he's just an idiot. But even if it had been Shaquille O'Neal who got my African American daughter, one or more of them, if he got one of them pregnant, he's just an idiot. I just say before and after, he's an idiot. He's a wussy. He's a fool. And he's got great genetics, but he's not important. He can't compare himself to the importance of a great man such as myself. And the next, if some, I can see a lot of African American men who are of great genetic quality, like with huge strength, and that's what I would wish my daughters would select for. But they're saying, you have children in Canada on welfare. So what? I'm the number one cognitive contributor to all the NATO member nations, and Canada is going to be a part of the USA sooner or later. And my intellectual contributions to the NATO member nations are so great that it wouldn't matter if there were 100,000 welfare dependents. If I said you can have immigration of 100,000 people who were going to be welfare dependents for life, that is still not nearly as great as my intellectual contributions. There was no slavery. There was no racial slavery of Africans. Abraham Lincoln faked his own death, and he was working for the British. George Washington had a fake war versus the British, and the British installed him as our first president so that he would wrongly accuse us of racial slavery of Africans. There was no racial slavery of Africans, and I proved it with a sociological proof in gender theory, gender social theory. It's always male gender slavery. It's never racial slavery. I'm the sociologist of the century, and Canada is much better because of me. And for them to complain, Paul has children on welfare in Canada. Do you know what I've done for Canada It's better than any leader of Canada has ever done for Canada. There's no racial slavery of Africans. Nobody's a Native American. And the Spanish brought them from the Philippines archipelago. And some crossed from Siberia to Alaska. And they're not the Spanish ones, but they are a small fraction of those who are in the American continents. Most of them descended from the ones that the Spanish brought from the Philippines archipelago. Nobody's a Native American. Nobody was here. You know what I've done for Canada? If there were 100,000 welfare dependents in Canada that were all blamed on me, that wouldn't even be a small part of the value I've contributed to Canada. And the value I've contributed to the USA is even greater because it's a much bigger economy than Canada. I mean, gosh, these guys complaining about me having welfare dependents in Canada. And I'm saying my African-American daughters, if I have African-American daughters like they're saying, they're in Montreal, I would prefer if they would choose the best looking men who are big and the best looking. And I'm not threatened at all. And I'm not afraid of them. And I can easily defend myself in a war of publicity. I defeated Barack Obama. I defeated George Bush in intellectual debate. I defeated, not a live debate, but over the years, I've won all the debates against George Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Emperor Charles. And I've even made people aware of things that the founding fathers themselves were not aware of. And I'm the greatest defender of 1776. And I'm also the greatest defender of the civilization not being brought down by people who always complain about fake history. So, and I'm trying to help African American society embrace philosophy of greatness, and the Africans who are a majority of the people in Africa south of the Sahara can also benefit because I'm improving their mental health and mental well-being and emotional well-being by pointing out there was no racial slavery of Africans. You don't have to consider yourselves victims and losers of history who need to look for revenge. Focus on keeping what you have. Don't look for revenge. Don't get drawn into a pursuit of imaginary, fictitious justice after a fictitious slavery. Keep what you have in Africa. And so I'm a great leader and also helping to defend Europe for Europeans and helping to defend China for Chinese and helping everybody stop encroaching on each other to reduce the level of male competition. I'm a net contributor not only to one nation or another. All nations are benefiting from my excellent sociology articles and essays. All right, that's good for now. Everybody benefits from my great, tremendous brain with my cognitive contributions. And they are telling me that the cost of a few welfare dependents in Canada should be these men like George Bush and Donald Trump and Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and Emperor Charles. They are like they could shine my shoes and with their tongues. And that would not be too high of a praise for what a great man I am. And it would be rubber shoes. I would not wear leather shoes. And they could shine my shoes with their tongues. And that would not be enough praise and apology for what Emperor Charles, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George Bush, Elon Musk, maybe also Joe Biden. And that would not be high enough praise for what I've achieved. If they polished my rubber shoes with their tongues, it would not be too high of a praise for what I've done for not only for NATO member economies, all the nations in the world. My philosophy is so helpful to all humanity. All right, that's good enough for this video.